Become a patron at www.patreon.com/Golden Era Bookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding. Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookworm here. Now I've been meaning to create a video discussing Vince Gironda's nutritional principles and diets for a long while now, especially since I created the infamous 36 eggs a day diet series of videos almost a year ago. Many people are not aware that Vince's diets were not restricted to the egg diet or the steak and eggs diet. And further, many people are under the impression that these extreme diets should be adhered to indefinitely. This could not be further from the truth. In fact, Vince's teachings on nutrition and diet, I believe, are very misunderstood. And for this reason, I thought it was time to clear up and address these misconceptions and try to elaborate more on Vince's nutritional principles and give a list of some of the many diets he came up with and recommended. And also I want to provide a short explanation on each of these diets, and most of the information that I will be sharing today comes directly from a new ebook that I've personally written explaining Vince Gironda's nutritional principles and diets. I truly hope that this video today is both informative and helpful. In order to understand Vince's bodybuilding diets, we first need to understand Vince's mentality. Vince held the strong belief, that bodybuilding was 85% nutrition. Now he made this discovery by experimenting on himself, and he was probably one of the most ripped bodybuilders in the late silver era and early golden era of bodybuilding when he actually competed. So ripped, in fact, that he was told that he was too shredded for competition and lost points during his competitive years. And therefore, during his competitive years, he learned the importance of nutrition and the effect that it has on the physique of a bodybuilder. His many diets he created, he tried and experimented on himself. This is something most people don't understand. And therefore, these were designed for the hardcore bodybuilder with the aim of achieving a positive nitrogen balance without the use of anabolic steroids. Vince's diets were subsequently used successfully during the golden era of bodybuilding by many famous stars, too many to list here. Now, one of the most important things to understand about Vince's diets is that they were goal-oriented. This is very important. Because not all individuals are the same and we are all essentially different, Vince believed one should experiment and see what works best for you as an individual. This meant initially adhering to the diet given as recommended by Vince Gironda and then tweaking and adapting it to suit your own individuality, your own individual metabolism, lifestyle, etc. Now, another very important thing to understand is that most of his diets, are not maintenance diets. That is, they are not meant to be used indefinitely. As I mentioned before, they have a certain goal, so they are goal oriented. They serve a specific purpose, and they are supposed to be used to achieve a certain goal, and therefore they act as tools for weight loss or weight gain, or more specifically, to lose fat and add quality muscle. And as I mentioned, once you follow the diet, you can experiment with it and see what works for you. Now, having just addressed the idea of the individuality of the bodybuilding trainee, we come to another very important point, and that is that his different diets served different needs. This is very, very important. And, you got to really get it into your head. Vince developed many different diets for the different needs of his clients. He had diets based on meat, for example. There were high protein diets for rapid muscular gains. He also at times recommended lacto-ovo-vegetarian diets. For example, if one of his trainees had nervous fatigue. He even recommended periods of going vegan for detoxification. That's right, you heard it. He actually even recommended going vegan at times. And having said all of this, and having listed all these examples of the different diets and elements of these diets, Vince encouraged his clients to develop an innate wisdom. He actually called it an innate animal wisdom. and that is to recognize when a diet has stopped becoming effective. When the diet is no longer effective, at this point, it is time to actually change the diet. And of course, this is highly dependent on the individuality of the trainee. If the diet doesn't work anymore for you, why continue with it? It's time to change. It might mean that you've been on a high protein diet for a prolonged period of time and you need a detox, so you might need to go vegan for a week or two. And believe it or not, this is the way that Vince actually recommended his diets to be used. When it comes to the choice of food for Vince's diets, Vince always said, think nutrition first. And having said that, he always recommended to remove, of course, junk food, except for your days when you would have maybe one cheat meal a week. He also recommended to remove processed foods and instead choose fresh fruit and vegetables, whole wheat grain products over refined products such as pasta and white bread, etc. High quality sourced animal protein, and even if you could stomach it, to drink raw milk, raw steak, and of course raw eggs or even lightly cooked eggs. This of course all sounds very much almost exactly the same like the recommendations of Silver Era bodybuilders. So now we finally come to the list of Vince Gironda's many diets, and here we have a following list of diets that I've actually read up on in many of his publications, and I just want to talk about each briefly and give you the elements of each. So we've got the maintenance diet. This, out of all the diets that Vince recommended, probably is the only diet that he would actually say you can be on this diet year round. And it was a good balance of proteins, fats and carbohydrates, and again it was used for gradual muscular gains year round. Now if you wanted to really up the muscle gains, he recommended several other more extreme diets, and I've already talked about one many times, and that is the 36 eggs a day diet, also known as the hormone precursor diet, which is high in protein. He also recommended this for hard gainers, and the reason he believed it worked so well was just similar to the articles from the 1970s, the scientific research articles. It was shown to give a positive nitrogen balance, and was very good at burning also fat, and of course having fast muscular gains. He also recommended an all-protein muscle building diet, which was based, I believe, on meats and cream, and it was also of course high in protein and good for muscle building. He had a weight gaining diet, and this was actually a high protein and high carbohydrate diet. So a lot of people think that Vince Gironda's diets were all low carb. Not at all. He had also a weight gaining diet, and he also highly recommended the intake of carbohydrates for people that were trying to bulk up and gain weight. Carbs are excellent for gaining weight. Vince knew it, we know it nowadays, and he actually recommended it back in the day. As I mentioned earlier, he also recommended vegetarian and even vegan diets. We've got the lacto-ovo vegetarian diet, which of course allows for copious amounts of fruits, vegetables, grains, legumes, and of course eggs and raw milk. He actually recommended these for obese people, and he found that when obese people not necessarily indulged on eggs and milk, but really ate a lot of vegetables during the day and had just a decent amount of milk and eggs, they would experience rapid fat loss. So this was excellent for obese people, because when you eat a lot of vegetables, it's quite filling, right? And so you don't necessarily need to eat that much protein, especially if you're trying to lose weight if you're an obese person. So this was excellent for obese people. He also had a maximum definition diet. This is the steak and eggs diet, right? It's famously called the steak and eggs diet, and there's many videos on YouTube on this particular diet. In short, this diet was for getting shredded, and you'll find it in one of my videos as well, called, I think it's the diets that Vince recommended for getting shredded. It's on my definition series of Vince Gironda videos on my playlist for Vince's Gym. Essentially, you ate steak and eggs 3 times a day with a whole bunch of supplements, and you got shredded, right? And I think every third day you were supposed to eat a high carbohydrate meal so that your glycogen would not be depleted, and you would therefore do this twice a week, right? There was another diet as well that I've read up on, and it's called the 5-day fasting diet, which basically was for intestinal cleansing, and he recommended this as well as his vegan diet for detoxification and just cleaning your system out. Basically, if you've developed a distaste for protein, or you've basically been on for example, on the 36 eggs a day diet, or the all protein muscle building diet, which is a very high protein diet, and after 6 to 8 weeks you just don't feel like eating protein anymore because you've had so much of it, he highly recommended going on basically on these week fasting diets to clean your body out, to detoxify, right? And the 5-day fasting diet is based on, from what I recall, fruit juices, water, and clear soups. The complete vegan diet, of course, as the name suggests, is based on, of course, lots of raw and steamed vegetables, legumes, beans, whole grains, and fruits. Again, both of these are supposed to be done for about a week for intestinal cleansing and complete detoxification. Now here is another list of lesser known diets that Vince actually recommended. For example, the US Navy Air Force diet, which he actually also termed the low carbohydrate diet. As the name suggests, it was low carbohydrate, high in protein, especially good for fat loss. It was a reducing diet, right? Fat reducing diet. He also had a very interesting diet called the Hawaiian reducing diet, based on meat, fish, or chicken combined with pineapple and or papaya, which you basically ate 3 times a day, and was an excellent way of losing fat as well. It was a way of getting shredded, actually. He also recommended all these different diets to his different trainees and pupils. Understand that Vince had thousands of people walk into his doors, and although he recommended initially diets, he would then individualize them. So, for example, in my in my ebook that I've written for you, that is available on my website www.goldenerabookworm.com, that has all of these diets listed. At the end of my ebook, I actually present the Eric Estrada diet, and the point is to not follow this particular diet at all. It just serves as an example. And he probably had diets for, Don Howarth, Larry Scott, and all the other people that were in his gym. Because understand that Vince was a trainer that understood the individual needs of his clients, and that's the point. That's the point I'm trying to make. Although he had probably hundreds of diets, each had to be tweaked for the specific individual that he was training. This is very important to understand. And having said that, that's the whole point of this video, for you to really understand that Vince, although he recommended certain diets, it didn't necessarily have to be adhered to 100%, because as an individual, we all need to adapt things to suit us best. He also had all these different recipes, such as the power breakfast, power lunch, power dinners. There's so many different things. If you read his material, you're going to be exhausted with all the possibilities that he actually gave. He was a very knowledgeable man when it came to diet and to the principles of bodybuilding. Now, if you'd like to learn more about Vince Gironda's diets, I've just come out with my ebook called Vince Gironda's Diets. And for the first time in this ebook, you're going to find every possible diet that Vince recommended for his students and clients. I've compiled this information from the many books that he came out with. And so all the diets that, at least that I've come across, are listed in my new ebook. So check it out if you want to learn more about Vince's diets, understand what they were used for. It's all there in great detail, so you can learn, understand, and even apply and adapt as you wish. Also on my website are many other ebooks from Vince Gironda's The Wild Physique, and Vince's 6 weeks bulk course, all available on my website www.goldenerabookworm.com. So I really hope you've enjoyed this video looking at many of Vince's diets, at least most of the ones that I've come across. As I mentioned earlier, I've compiled in my ebook and presented briefly today to you to really understand what Vince was all about in regards to his diets. Remember that these diets had a specific purpose. They were goal oriented, and they were not supposed to be used indefinitely except for his maintenance diets. The others mainly were used for a specific purpose. And so I really wished to clear this up, and I think I've done that in this video. And so I'm pretty happy that I've presented this information finally to clear up these misconceptions. Vince had a lot of knowledge in regards to diets, and I really hope that you've learned something today and that this video has been informative for you. If you've enjoyed the video, please give the video a thumbs up, subscribe if you haven't to the Golden Era Bookworm, leave me your comments, and thank you for watching. If you'd like to support my work, please donate via PayPal, become a patron, or visit my website www.goldenerabookworm.com for ebooks of out-of-print bodybuilding books from the golden, silver, and bronze era of bodybuilding. You can also contact me if you wish to pass on your bodybuilding books and magazines from the past. That's it for me. Hope you've enjoyed the video. Once again, this is the Golden Era Bookworm. Bye for now.
Hi everybody, I just want to recommend this phenomenal book, Vince's Secret Locker, volume number 2 by Carl Coyne. I've been looking at this for about 4 weeks and I can't put it down. If you get a chance, check it out. He also has a part 1 that I highly recommend also. Vince was the trainer to the stars and had an amazing, interesting gym that today there's still not equipment like it around. It was all made out of wood. He'll be on our radio show coming up probably in the next couple weeks or so. Have a great day, and again, highly recommend this book.